Either way, on the Republican side, Jeff Flake and Susan Collins. We've spoken a lot about Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. On the Democratic side, those up for re-election now in states that the president won handily, they include Joe Manchin in West Virginia, Heidi Heitkamp, North Dakota, even Joe Donnelly, who has already come out against the judge. But again, he could be in a tight battle in his state. Let's get the read from GOP pollster Justin Wallin. Justin, is it your sense that these guys have to read the writing on the polling wall here, that it would be far more in their favor to vote for than against the judge, especially if things are tightening up?
Yeah, definitely. I think that this Kavanaugh issue is going to be the galvanizing issue come November. There's an old saying that voters don't go to vote to say thank you, but they certainly do when they're angry. And this issue seems to be the paramount issue of the election. All of a sudden, it happened very quickly. But Kavanaugh is largely seen as a proxy to the president, and the president enjoys remarkably high support among Republicans. And I think opposition to the president's goals and who he wants to see on the Supreme Court is definitely going to be a weakness for those who are considering voting against, especially in states like this that are Republican friendly. You know,
I don't know how instrumental the polls are to some of these folks in such states. If you're Joe Manchin and one poll has you up by 10 points, I don't know the latest polls, you probably know better than I, you might be willing to wager a bet that, you know, I can go ahead and do this, and it might shave a point or two off, but I'll survive.
Yeah, I think that would be a tough bet to make. I mean, 10 points regardless, and yes, we've seen problems with statewide methodology in 2016. I'm not intimately familiar with the methodology of all these different polls,
right,
but a 10-point spread is pretty doggone big. At worst, it's directional. And I would say this, that a couple of weeks ago, for Republicans, there was a warning light from the RNC. It was a memo, it was leaked, it kind of came out, it was in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, that indicated that Republicans were not as enthusiastic about showing up to vote because they felt there was no blue wave coming. They disbelieved media reports that there was a possibility Republicans could lose Congress. This is the sort of thing that changes things. And I think we saw in the midterms, in the primaries, we saw a peak of Democratic enthusiasm. I think that there's a long way to go for Republican voter enthusiasm, and I think turnout's going to play a major stake in this. And I think that's something that some polls have difficulty capturing when they model likely voters. We may see more voters show up than they anticipate, certainly from the Republican side.
Justin, I could be wrong on this, but my interpretation of the New York Times story that goes back decades to look at how the president then, as a businessman, built his wealth, and largely off his father's real estate success, so he took it to another level, that might be a preview of what this Mueller probe is about, having nothing to do with Russia, collusion, anything, just business deals that go back decades. What do you think?
Right. I mean, those kinds of approaches, the Mueller approach, can certainly be effective at unwinding things and for looking at things that are different than the original intent. The thing about that is, and I'm no expert on policy or the law, so setting that aside, in the court of public opinion, certainly, I think that the president has already been tried as to his business dealings, and people have made up their minds.
It would be a leap. All right, Justin, thank you very, very much. Sorry for the truncated time here. The latest on that Kavanaugh timeline and how Republicans get into the court after this.
Hey, guys. Today we're here to talk about trucks.
I love trucks.
What the heck is that? Well, what truck brand comes from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road?
I think it's the Chevy.
Ford.
Is it Ford? Nope, it's not Ford.
I think it's Ram.
Is it Ram? Not Ram.
That's
It's Chevy.